Hi, I'm Bill Pavlak, Master Cabinet Maker here at Colonial Williamsburg. Today, my colleagues and I are going to talk to you about the process we use to make a turned table leg, like the one right here on a table that one of the fellows has been making. The way we go about this work is really informed by a leg similar to this one that our archaeologists unearthed out in the stream silt below the Anthony Hay cabinet shop here about 60 years ago. This is a leg that our predecessors over 200 years ago started making. Something went amiss and they threw it out. And so trapped within the surfaces of that are clues as to their process. So we're going to walk you through how they got something like this in the first place and then where we would take that to end up here.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Tritchler. I am an apprentice cabinet maker here, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to do some of the rough work of preparing one of these table legs for turning it on the lathe. First of all, we're going to start out with a very square blank, and then we're going to cut away some large wedges of materials. Giving us a leg that's very square looking, but looks about like what we want it to be. I'll then come in with a chisel and begin to round and shape some of the curve of the top of the foot here. Take a draw knife to start flattening up some of the work from the saw cuts, and then start cutting away the corners of that leg in preparation for turning it on the lathe. It's also during the draw knifing phase on the original leg where some fibers were blown out, and which probably led to it being thrown out and not used for the finished piece in the first place.
I'm John Peeler. I'm an apprentice here in the Hay Cabinet Shop, and I'm here at our treadle lathe, a very important tool for getting this leg turned and ready to go on the table. The first step on the leg is to turn the pommel, where the square post at the top of the leg transitions into the round part that's turned on the lathe. With the pommel done, the next step is to use the roughing gouge to start to remove a lot of the material on the leg ferrule and start bringing it down to actually round. I'm now going to go back to the skew chisel and get a much finer surface on the part that we roughed out with the roughing gouge. The last step to do after I've got the barrel of the leg, most of the leg, done is to come down here to the foot. Now this foot is offset turned, so I've actually changed the point where the lathe engages into the piece of wood so that the foot will come out not in the same axis as the leg, but offset from it.
Once John was done turning the foot on the lathe, he needed to create a little transition between the two turnings. Do that 6 times and you have enough legs for a nice drop leaf dining table like this. We don't think about that very often when we sit down to dinner, but there's a lot of work that goes into all of this. That stream that runs under the shop doesn't help us turn our lathe. It never would have in the 18th century, but fortunately for us, it did preserve this artifact that gave us a lot of insight in how our predecessors went about doing this work.